It was December 1872 when the British brig De Gratia spotted her wandering aimlessly between the Azores and the coast of Portugal, her sails fluttering unevenly, her wheel turning without guidance, her deck eerily deserted. She moved like a living thing robbed of its soul. No distress signals flew from her masts. No human voices responded to hails across the water. As the crew approached, a heavy feeling settled over them. The ship appeared too calm, too orderly, too strangely preserved for something tragic to have occurred. Yet every life on board had vanished into nothingness. It is this contradiction, this impossible balance of order and absence, that has made the Mary Celeste one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in history. The Mary Celeste had not always been a ghost ship. She began her existence as the Amazon in the shipyards of Nova Scotia in 1861, crafted with the hope of long, profitable service. Yet from the start, fate seemed to stalk her. Her first captain died on her maiden voyage. She collided with another vessel in the English Channel. A fire broke out during repairs. After years of misfortune, she was sold, rebuilt, and renamed, perhaps in the hope that a new identity would erase her dark beginnings. By 1872, the Mary Celeste was purchased by a group of American businessmen and placed under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs. Briggs was known as a disciplined, deeply religious, and highly experienced sailor. He was respected by all who sailed under him, calm in danger, thoughtful in decision, and cautious with every choice. When the ship prepared for a voyage from New York to Genoa, carrying a cargo of denatured alcohol, Briggs decided to bring his wife Sarah and their young daughter Sophia aboard, along with a carefully selected crew of 7 men. It was meant to be a smooth and prosperous journey across the Atlantic. The Mary Celeste departed on November 7, 1872, cutting through calm waters under promising skies. For the first several days, the crew carried out their duties with the same routine precision recorded in countless ship logs of the era. Nothing in the captain's final entries suggested fear, disorder, or danger. They mentioned only ordinary observations, wind conditions, the ship's course, and daily maintenance. The vessel was in good shape, stocked with 6 months of food and water, and fitted with new equipment. This was not a ship suffering from disaster or neglect. It was healthy, strong, and well managed. There was no sign on that calm November morning that the Mary Celeste would soon slip into one of history's darkest enigmas. The mystery began to unfold almost a month later when Captain Morehouse of the De Gratia, a man who reportedly knew Briggs personally, spotted the Mary Celeste drifting alone. At first, he might have assumed the ship was temporarily unmanned. Perhaps the crew was handling repairs or battling some crisis below deck. But as his ship drew nearer, something became unmistakably wrong. The Mary Celeste moved strangely, her sails partly set but not trimmed properly, her movement unguided. It appeared abandoned, yet not wrecked. Morehouse ordered a boarding team. As they climbed the rails and stepped onto the deck, the sense of dread deepened. There was no one. The interior of the Mary Celeste was immaculate, in a way that defied reason. Clothing lay neatly folded in chests, just as they would in a lived-in home. The galley was stocked with food. Personal belongings, pipes, journals, boots, remained exactly where their owners had last placed them. The ship's cargo was still secured in the hold, except for 9 barrels that had leaked. Even the ship's logbook was up to date, the last entry calm and ordinary, recorded just 10 days prior. Yet the lifeboat was missing, and several navigational tools, essential for survival at sea, were gone as well. These details suggested the crew had abandoned ship deliberately, perhaps suddenly, yet not chaotically. They left no note explaining why. No sign of violence, illness, or catastrophic damage was found. The Mary Celeste was seaworthy, functioning, and perfectly capable of completing its voyage. Nothing justified leaving it behind. There were only a few clues that hinted at potential trouble. Some water had seeped between decks, though nothing alarming, Any experienced captain would have considered it manageable. One of the pumps was partially disassembled, suggesting the crew may have believed the ship was taking on more water than it truly was. The cargo of industrial alcohol, volatile and potentially explosive, had indeed leaked. Any sparks or fumes could have frightened even seasoned sailors. A rope trailed behind the ship, suggesting an abandoned attempt to keep the lifeboat tethered to the vessel. Perhaps the crew had intended to return, perhaps the rope snapped, or perhaps the sea simply dragged the Mary Celeste onward, leaving the lifeboat and its passengers to drift into nothingness. Theories multiplied rapidly once the salvage hearings began in Gibraltar. Suspicion immediately fell upon the crew of the Dei Gratia. After all, maritime salvage could be profitable, and claiming an abandoned ship was legally allowed. But the courts found no evidence of foul play. Nothing was missing. No blood, no struggle, no tampering with cargo. The crew of the Dei Gratia had acted with professionalism, profit motive, but not malice. With no evidence to support murder or piracy, the courtroom drama ended, but the deeper mystery endured. Over the next century, investigators, historians, scientists, and storytellers would propose countless explanations. Some suggested mutiny, but the theory collapses under scrutiny. There was no conflict, no signs of violence, and nothing to steal. Others believed a sudden waterspout or sea quake might have terrified the crew, convincing them the ship was sinking. Natural phenomena, however, leave marks, and the Mary Celeste bore no such scars. Perhaps the most widely accepted theory involves the leaking alcohol barrels. Vapors from industrial alcohol can expand, build pressure, and even make muffled explosive sounds. If such a noise occurred, the crew might have feared an imminent explosion. In panic, they could have evacuated temporarily into the lifeboat while the ship aired out. If the line tying the lifeboat to the Mary Celeste snapped or came loose, the tragedy would unfold in an instant. Helpless sailors watching their trusted brig drift slowly away, too far to swim back, too heavy to chase. The sea, silent and indifferent, would have swallowed them long before anyone knew they were missing. Other theories stray into darker and stranger territory. Some argued that pirates ambushed the ship, but pirates rarely leave valuable cargo untouched. Others suggested Captain Briggs suffered a psychotic break, but this contradicts everything known about his character. More imaginative conspiracies have proposed sea monsters, Bermuda Triangle-like vortices, or paranormal forces. These ideas, while dramatic and appealing to storytellers, rest on no evidence. The truth likely lies in a tragic but natural chain of events: small errors, misunderstood dangers, and the unforgiving vastness of the ocean. What elevates the Mary Celeste above other maritime mysteries is not violence or destruction, but absence. When ships sink, break apart, or are attacked, the evidence is clear. But the Mary Celeste shows no sign of such calamity. It is the utter normality of the scene that chills the soul. A ship without people. Meals prepared days earlier. Clothing waiting to be worn. Instruments stored properly. A voyage interrupted not by fire or war, but by something unseen. The ocean is full of dangers, but rarely does it steal away people without leaving behind even a whisper of what occurred. Behind the mystery lies a quietly devastating human tragedy. 10 lives vanished, not only sailors, but a family. Sarah Briggs and little Sophia disappeared along with the crew, leaving letters that would never be answered, relatives who would wait in vain for word, and gifts ahead in Italy that would remain unopened. For those left behind, the Mary Celeste was not a legend, but a wound. They received no final message, no remains to bury, no explanation for their loss. The sea, in its vastness, hid everything. As the decades passed, the Mary Celeste transformed from a maritime incident into a cultural legend. Writers, most notably Arthur Conan Doyle, spun paranormal fiction around her. Filmmakers imagined ghostly crews and cursed voyages. Historians returned again and again to re-examine the sparse evidence, hoping to uncover a missing detail or a forgotten clue. Yet each investigation only deepened the mystery. The Mary Celeste resisted explanation, as if the sea itself guarded her secrets. The ship sailed for years after her fateful voyage, though sailors claimed she carried a curse, believing no vessel touched by such tragedy could ever know peace again. In 1885, her owners, plagued by financial struggles, intentionally wrecked her off the coast of Haiti in an insurance scam. The once proud brig sank beneath the waves, taking with her any remaining physical clues. But in dying, she became immortal, the perfect ghost ship, preserved forever in the minds of all who hear her story. Today, the mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved, not because it is too complex, but because its final moments left no witnesses, no survivors, and no trace. The ocean is a relentless keeper of secrets. It erases footprints, swallows evidence, and leaves behind only silence. Perhaps the simplest explanation, a frightened crew temporarily abandoning ship, edges closest to truth. But without the lifeboat, without the bodies, without the voices of those who lived those last hours, certainty remains out of reach. The Mary Celeste continues to drift through history like she once drifted through the Atlantic, quiet, empty, and impossibly haunting. She reminds us that even in an age of science and navigation, the sea still holds mysteries that defy logic. And perhaps that is why her story endures. It is not merely a tale of a lost crew, but a symbol of the limits of human knowledge, the fragility of life at sea, and the enduring power of the unknown.